how is this guy going to win draws, or how is he going to do it? And what's been the big key so far, the way you guys have been able to win draws, especially a guy like Thompson who's not played center in a long time?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. Competitiveness was one. I mean, you go in the draw, you got to want to win and fight for it. Help from their wingers, bringing attention to it. Those all help. But obviously, you're right. You know, the guys we're shifting into that center position don't have a lot of recent experience in it. So, you know, it's still we're still watching it closely.
And it's a thing where it's as much mindset as technique, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of compete off the drop of that puck. But you know, these guys they're studying, you know, other centermen too, and techniques. So there's a lot that they can prepare going into games for. But it's one of those areas that, you know, as I sit there and speak of it, we have to evolve and make sure, you know, the numbers are good right now. We're going to make sure we do as good as we can in that area, because that's an important part of the game.
Is it beneficial that you guys start at home so you can play the matchups a little better? This is a game where two very good centermen on their side, so you can sort of, you know.
Yeah.
Would you like to stick with matchups?
You know, it's beneficial to be at home. I think right now for us, specifically for us, it's a good spot to be, because there's so many other elements on the road, and as I said, the crowd is a big part of that, both ways, either way. Matchups for us, that's going to be evolving too. I mean, you know, we don't have. I like the experience out of Eakin, Gergensons, and Okposo. I mean, they know. They have a tremendous sense of objective as three very experienced NHL players of what the task at hand is. You know, when they look across the ice and see the opposition, I think the rest of us are, you know, we're evolving in that area, and it's going to take some learning in that area, unfortunately, and time. But again, as I mentioned, we don't have much of a choice. These guys are going to go in these situations. So I'm not paying as much attention to matching yet as I may later on.
Will we see a lot of the stretch pass that we saw on Saturday, or is that more a product of who you're playing on that particular day?
It goes with both, I think. You know, there's certain teams systematically you might emphasize that, and others you might de-emphasize it. So tonight, you know, and sometimes it's an in-between period adjustment. You know, we look at things after the first and say, hey, let's tweak, you know, this or that, and that might be an area we would do that in specifically. So, yeah, I can't say going into tonight's game. I mean, I watched a lot of our opponents on film before we go in, but, you know, all of that is so you can react better and faster when the puck's dropped at 7 o'clock. So, you know, we don't do an overextensive pre-scout, but as coaches we try to learn and take in as much information as we can so we can make adjustments as, you know, after puck drop.
So that isn't generally a philosophy here, is you know, we have to do stretch passes because that's something I want to do in each game. It's a situational thing.
Well, you know, situations dictate more opportunity, and you got to watch that. So in that respect, it is situational. If there's something that you feel you can exploit, you're going to target it. But we want to, you know, expand the ice, expand coverage area for the opposition as much as we can, and you know, obviously stretching is one way to do that, but there's other ways. Make them feel like they've got to cover more area, or make them cover more area, and again, very simply, you know, having to cover a stretch guy expands the area of coverage, and it opens up potentially other things to exploit. So, you know, that's a little bit of, you know, the thought in it and the objectives behind it.
How has Drake kind of evolved since you had him a few years ago into that checking role? I think earlier in his career, maybe people expected him to be more of an offensive player.
Yeah, he does. You know, he does. Drake Caggiula does have some offensive. I've watched him as a college player at North Dakota, and dangerous offensive. He's got a great shot. He's a scoring mentality and very competitive guy. So there's some offensive things there to really like. But he is a competitor, and he does not want to lose, you know, any situation. And by virtue of that, it makes him a pretty effective defensive guy. He just is not willing to surrender in any battle, and that's what you want. That's what you think of on the defensive side, taking that pride in winning any situation, not just a scoring situation.
You
typically don't see a development coach on the ice for practices or morning skates. So why would you like to have Dan Girardi just around the group?
Well, I don't think of Danny as a development coach. He has too much experience, and he did a tremendous job last year instilling some calm and confidence within our defensive group and even our whole team. So he's respected by everybody here, and anytime you can get him, around our guys more, even our coaching staff more, the better. So that's the quick thought behind that.
What have you seen from the Canucks on video, and what do you expect?
Yeah.
Stylistically, what they'll bring.
Well, they're a talented team, hard-nosed, competitive team. They have a lot of competitive people over there with a lot of skill and depth in that. So it's intriguing as we've played 2 games, and now you have this next opponent, and you're always looking at how talented they are and trying to gauge what you may be able to do and not be able to do against a team, and that's yet to be seen. But as a coach going in, they have certainly have a lot of tremendous amount of respect for the talent and competitiveness that they bring, and obviously another very well coached team. You're not going to find much else in this league, really.